Happy Tuesday. Time for Tidbit Tuesdays. So I had something happen this week with a client, and I've touched on this in the past, but since it's happened again to a different client, I want to bring this up because I'm sure some of you have had some of the same experiences, and I'm trying to help people not go through this. So I had a client call me. Insurance didn't pay for her PAP, and I said, well, send me the explanation of benefits, send me the bill you're getting. And so I looked at everything, and there's a couple things going on. First, she did not understand her plan. She doesn't have an ACA plan, so there's a limited benefit for wellness, which had already been paid to her gynecologist, so the labs were not covered. But this can also happen with, I'll talk about it, but it can happen with an ACA plan too. But what I noticed on the billing is, in addition to the PAP, they ran 4 additional tests, all for STDs, that were unnecessary. Speaking with the client, did you have a concern about having an STD? No. Then why did your doctor order these tests? Because he said insurance would pay for it. Huge, huge red flag. So let me explain. If you go into the doctor and you're getting some routine tests, and they suggest you do a whole bunch of screenings because your insurance will pay for it, don't do that. Unless you have a reason to have the screenings done, and I've talked about this in another video about not looking for things, but what they're doing is padding. It could be their bottom line, it could be the lab's bottom line, maybe they're getting a kickback, but they're doing additional tests trying to tell you that insurance will pay for it, and that may or may not be the case. Doctors have absolutely zero clue about what insurance pays. I promise you, unless they're licensed insurance brokers, they do not know what insurance pays. And insurance will not guarantee benefits, even if their office calls to confirm if something is covered, because there's always something that, a little message they give you. This is not a guarantee of payment of benefits, but based on the codes, this is probably a covered procedure, but we will not make a final decision until we receive a claim. Bottom line. So somewhere along the line, if you go into the doctor's office, and this is people, what irritates me is doctors are taking advantage, not all doctors. There are many, many great doctors out there, but some doctors taking advantage of the doctor-patient relationship. We're taught to trust doctors, they know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And so if they recommend something, we tend to want to do it because we want to do what's best for us, because the doctor wouldn't tell us to do something that's not good for us. Well, wrong. The doctor doesn't know what insurance will pay. They're running tests that you do not need. So now this poor woman has a $750 pap smear bill, where paps are not that much. But because of the additional testing, they charge a $150 for each additional test. And it's crazy. So I recommend to my clients, if a doctor recommends a test and the words come out of their mouth, let's do a screening because your insurance will cover it, stop right there. Say, what are the screenings for? These are great questions to ask. What are the screenings for? And if they tell you in this example, well, it's a screen for any sexually transmitted disease, well, I'm not worried about that, so I really don't think I need that. If you have a concern, by all means do it, but know that maybe your insurance won't pay for it. Ask the doctor, did your office confirm with my insurance company that this is a covered procedure? Guarantee you they won't. They'll say no, or they'll say, well, I don't know. Or you can even say, you know what, maybe let me look at this, but I'll think about doing it next time. That gets you off the hook. It's very non-confrontational, and you can research it and see if this is something you need. You can also check, see if your insurance will cover it. So it drives me insane that some doctors do this to make your billing higher And even if your insurance, if you have an ACA plan and they actually do cover this, you're paying for it in your premium. And what do I mean by that? The more claims insurance companies process, the higher they make the premium. So when all these people are doing tests that are unnecessary because insurance will cover it, that is making everybody's insurance premiums go up because the insurance is having to pay out money for tests that are not necessary. Again, knowing your health, knowing if you have risk factors, by all means, do screenings. Have an honest discussion with your doctor. I am not a doctor. I'm not telling you not to necessarily do tests your doctor recommends, but find out more information before you end up with a $750 bill for something that maybe could have been avoided. That's what drives me crazy. And it's okay to question the doctor. If the doctor gets perturbed that you're questioning them, that's another red flag. Because you should be able to have a conversation with your doctor, just like I do with my primary care doctor. I'm able to have a discussion with her, talk about what my needs are, what my risk factors are, all those things to determine what is right for me. Because it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not because you read something in a medical journal that says these tests are great screenings and insurance will cover it. I don't care what those articles say. That's not real life. And maybe some doctors think they're doing a good thing by running extra screenings to head off anything. But again, if you don't have risk factors or it's not necessary to do these tests, doctors don't care because they don't have a clue about insurance. They don't understand how insurance works. They don't understand the cost of premiums and all of that stuff. They just care about their reimbursement. And if they do it in-house, then maybe they're making more money, or maybe the lab's making more money, or their buddy owns the lab, so they're trying to do these tests to help their buddy out. Whatever the case may be, maybe it's not that bad, but it sure seems that way to me, and it just irritates me to no end. As you can tell, I'm very irritated by this because it's not fair to the patient to get stuck with a bill because they trusted their doctor to do what's right for them, and the doctor just ordered tests that they didn't even need because insurance will cover it. So, ask lots of questions. Don't feel intimidated by your doctor. You should have a relationship that you can talk to them, ask questions, and if they make you feel like you shouldn't question them, then you have the wrong doctor. Because doctors should be okay with their ego to have a conversation with the patient who knows themselves better than the doctor knows them, doesn't know medicine, but it's okay to ask about things and the question why things are being done, and actually say, you know what, I need time to check with my insurance to see if this is covered. Because if insurance doesn't pay for it, it doesn't mean it's not necessary. It means maybe you don't need it and they're doing it blanketly on everybody. And again, I want people to get their basic screenings because you never know about certain things like breast cancer. You know, you don't need a pap every year either. And you actually, all people don't need a mammogram every year. Depends. But when you reach a certain age, you don't need those things every year. Unless, of course, you've got risk factors, you have previous history, all those things come into play. So it's not a one-size-fits-all that they say you need to go do your mammogram every year or you need to have your pap every year. It depends. Talk about all those things with your doctor and find out, you know, where you fall in those risk factors. Do a little research on your own. There's plenty of medical information out there, and I'm not talking about WebMD necessarily. There's a lot of great sources that have different information, and then that's a conversation to have with your doctor to determine what is best for you and your situation based on your health, your risk factors, and then you can decide as far as if you want to pay out of pocket for that or if your insurance will cover it. Okay, rant over. Until next week, peace out.